Why is Chuck Todd saying what Donald Trump should be saying for propaganda purposes? Don't indict me. Let the people indict me. Let the people vote for me. And if I lose, then that means that the people don't want me. Trump is talking to C-SPAN. Where?
Well, thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America. And it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the...
America's crying.
And all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary. And
he's right, and he should say it.
By a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much.
Do you want these trials to happen before the 2024 election?
All right, there you have it.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very sad day for America.
All right, let's get to what Fox News is saying.
Judges are poisoned. I mean, how can, like, if you're a judge or you're a jury and you've been for 5 years, and I said this on the 5, I think 2 years ago, I said, if everybody's saying that this guy's Hitler, there's got to be something wrong with you if you don't rig the election. There's got to be something wrong with you if you aren't biased. If you're on a jury and Hitler's there, of course, you don't care if he's innocent of this particular thing. That dude's Hitler. You got to get rid of him. And I think that, you know, for 5 years, this guy has been Hitler. There's no way.
Dude, what is happening with the captions today?
I think, to your other point, you can know that you lost an election, but still think it was crooked.
But if you act to try to undo the election, is all I'm saying. If I call people and say, let's find some more votes here because I know we won, and if you, that's the only point I was making.
Let's ask our legal eagle.
Okay,
She's here.
There were a lot of cases that were never heard on the merits. I mean, they were tossed on early motions, other technicalities. So a lot of these cases didn't get to the merits. Some of them did. But I think that the president's legal team, meaning President Trump, felt like a lot of these things were unresolved. Their efforts to get things done at the Supreme Court, got to get at least 4 justices to
it's their legal eagle, not our legal eagle.
So they feel like there were a lot of, angles
That's
and
a
lanes
normal
that were left to them. But I think it's interesting that it seems that Democrats are getting more and more concerned about what they've pushed for, which I think is to make Trump the nominee because they think he's going to be the easiest one to beat. Now when they see him surging and him joking on social media about, I just need that 4th indictment, it's going to ensure my reelection, they're getting nervous. In Playbook, I think it was today, there was a...
Yeah, it's the liberals that are getting nervous. More so, liberals are just fatigued by all of this. And not only that, but also... Like, I don't think people care about it as much. I mean, even Trump supporters don't care about it. Like, look at these arraignments, one after the other. Like, there's not that much momentum at all. For the same exact reasons I mentioned time and time again.
We're taking this seriously.
Can I ask you one thing, though, about this question?
I agree. Trump is a more serious candidate.
Jack Smith, wouldn't he have put all that he had into this indictment with the court of public opinion being, like, this unprecedented? Would he actually hold back all of these other, like, supposedly great nuggets and evidence to then present at trial? He would hold it back?
It's possible that not everything is in the indictment. That's clear. It could be hundreds of pages long then. But think about former Attorney General Bill Barr in an interview last night said he is convinced that there is a lot more that Jack Smith has that he hasn't put out there. Remember when former Vice President Pence was forced to testify to one of these grand juries? We saw the transcript. There were 18 consecutive pages at one point blacked out. So there are a lot of questions about what else did Pence have to say? What else don't we know that's been held behind closed doors and for the grand jury to this point? And again, what you present to a grand jury and how you do this at trial, very different. There's no one defending the defendant at the grand jury hearing.
No suit? I was wearing a suit earlier. It's too hot, my man.
You guys want to see some Democrats losing their minds?
Sure.
We have
Harold votes no.
Just walk
let's
outside.
play it.
I love America.
Oh, I love that. They're like doing lip watch.
He makes a deal with Smith.
Without jail time?
And without jail. He says, look, I'm going away. I'm moving to Saudi Arabia. I just want him to go away and stop ruining my country.
There are certain prosecutors that would offer him a plea agreement without time if he would agree to never run for public office again anywhere.
Democracy itself is really at issue in this trial. If Trump could...
Look how hard the libs are owned. Is like the only thing they have at this point. Because like, what the fuck are they gonna do? They can't argue on the boundaries of the cases. Like he's dead to rights in many of them. So
about whether people in this country care about the facts and the law.
It would be, Wolf, the end of our democracy if Donald Trump was able to get back into office.
Jesse Waters, that was just a sampling of the reaction.
To be fair, I don't even think that's like that wrong of a statement to say like it would be the end of our democracy as we know it. Because it's like, yeah, for him to go to jail and then win election and then pardon himself would dramatically undermine all of the institutions that have been built to ensure that that doesn't happen. So, I mean, you know, there have been plenty of instances where political leaders have, you know, gone to prison and then came back and were worse than before. And no, I'm not talking about Nelson Mandela. I'm talking about motherfucking Adolf Hitler. You know what I mean?
Might not be the nominee. And I want to bring up what you said about Barr. Some really smart lawyer earlier on Fox said that if they're going to bring in Barr as a witness, they get to cross Barr and say, okay, well, you told Trump there was no election fraud. What'd you do to investigate it? How many man hours did you spend? How much money did you spend? Where did you go?
That's so crazy.
What did those lieutenants tell you? I mean, you can't say everything's fine. It was like 2 weeks he checked for fraud. Okay? Everybody has the right to be suspicious in this country. If you have a COVID election where they blow out all of the signature requirements, they blow out all of the deadlines, and then they blast out all these unsolicited ballots into the ecosystem with no chain of custody, you're not suspicious. You have a right to be suspicious. And all these state legislators had no power to do anything about it. It was just done via judicial fiat. And then Zuckerberg lands, I think it was $500 million, layers over all of these election volunteers, all over the state worker act. These people were activists that were running this thing. So if someone sends you an affidavit that says there's monkey business in Detroit, the president has every legal right to call the...
I like this idea that like these are legitimate claims, especially because they were brought up to court and investigated numerous times to no avail. And so you can't keep consistently claiming that this happened, there was monkey business, when like you tried it, it failed numerous fucking times. Multiple investigations were conducted. I love people being like, dude, will you talk about Lizzo? Yes, I will talk about Lizzo, but I honestly don't give a shit about Lizzo as much as I care about what's going on here. And no, guys, him saying monkey business is not because he's like being anti-black, okay? He's anti-black all the time. This is not one of those circumstances. Calm down.
60 in Hawaii. You're not Jesse Waters. Take off that mask.
How long have they been a state?
I'm researching too much.
President Trump's, as you can see, the plane, they're lining up on the tarmac, and he is about to depart back to New Jersey.
Can I make a